Got it.
One minute.
Good evening, everyone. Today, 111 Sunday Sahitik Satsang. We have gathered here online, and on this occasion, I would like to request Dr. Puamma, the event coordinator of this month, to welcome the invitees, respected invitees, and to introduce the Master of Ceremony, Dr. Vipula Mathur. Please, ma'am.
Good evening to one and all present here. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, you are.
Okay. Okay. Good evening to one and all present here at the 111th Sunday Sahitik Satsang, organized by Indigenous Society for the Promotion of English Language and Literature, registered.
Hello. I think ma'am has network issue there.
Designer and promoter of iSPELL, the founder.
Hello.
A novelist, her career in medicine has been a strong influence in her fiction. A very well-known novelist, a great woman writer par excellence, is here with us. I extend a warm welcome to Dr. Kavery Nambisan to the 111th Sunday Sahitik Satsang. Literary lovers must read the following works written by Dr. Kavery Nambisan. They are A Luxury Called Health, A Doctor's Journey Through the Art, Hills of Hungary, a Story That Must Not Be Told, The Truth Almost About Bharat. So the recent one, Cherry Red, Cherry Black, The Coffee Story, it's a non-fiction. If you are keen on reading, you can look up Amazon.in. A very cordial welcome to Dr. Kavery Nambisan. A warm welcome to you, madam, to this platform.
Thank you.
I extend a cordial welcome to Professor Pramod Dengle, sir, the IT coordinator of iSPELL. And today, Dr. Shalini is also going to help the IT coordinator. I welcome Dr. Shalini too. I extend a warm welcome to all the active participants. And also I extend a warm welcome to our chairperson, Dr. Shamalima Sakia, to this August platform. Last but not the least, let me introduce and welcome the Master of Ceremony, Dr. Vipul Mathur, to the 100th Sunday Sahitik Satsang. Vipul Mathur is working as an associate professor in Apex University, Jaipur. She's been teaching 15 years, qualified professor. Completed IELTS and NPTE online course 1 on English language for competitive exams from IIT Madras. Then NPTEL online course on developing soft skills and personality from IIT Kanpur. She has worked as assistant and associate professor at various engineering and degree colleges in Jaipur and Jodhpur. She has also worked as a visiting faculty at State Institute of Hotel Management and PG College, Jodhpur. She worked as a counselor in Indira Gandhi National Open University, IGNOU, as a soft skill trainer at various college level institutes in Jodhpur with the Association of Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Mumbai. She was a panelist in Jaipur Siksha Sankul Research Committee of School Education Department, Government of Rajasthan. She has participated in various conferences and published papers in UGC Care and peer-reviewed journals. She was awarded Woman of Honor by Nexus PR Media Jodhpur. Here I present Dr. Vipul Mathur to the 111th Sunday Sahityik Satsang. And a warm welcome to you, madam. And I request you to move ahead with the event.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am, for the kind and warm introduction. Very good evening to all. The key to pursuing excellence is to embrace an organic, long-term learning process and not to live in a shell of static, safe mediocrity. Usually growth comes.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So usually, is it audible, ma'am?
And now it's audible.
Okay.
Yeah, it's audible.
Okay. Usually growth comes at the expense of previous comfort or safety. So with this quote of Josh Waitzkin, let's gear up for our auspicious 111th Sunday Sahitya Satsang on literature and medicine and their relationship in today's context. Today, in this August gathering, we are fortunate to have such distinguished and erudite academicians amidst us. Although the welcome part has been initiated by respected Puvama ma'am, still once again, on the behalf of iSPELL family, I extend a very warm welcome to our keynote speaker, respected Dr. Kavery ma'am, Professor of English and Director School of Arts, Humanities and Social Sciences, Reva University, Bangalore, Karnataka. Our chairperson, Dr. Shamolina Saikia, Assistant Professor of English, Garagaon College, Siva Sagar, Assam. Our dignitaries, our General Secretary, respected Ghansham Sir, Public Relation Officer and Founder of Rajasthan Forum, Dr. Shalini Yadav ma'am, all academicians, members, research scholars and students. Before proceeding further, I would like to share a bit about iSPELL. Indigenous Society for the Promotion of English Language and Literature, popularly known by the acronym iSPELL, was founded by the like-minded fraternity of English with the motto facilitate to elevate the taste of bliss in the field of English language and literature. iSPELL organizes events every month to share and impart expertise of renowned academicians and its members to the fraternity and the stakeholders. iSPELL believes that the need of hour is to blend the trends and mend the minds. One can improve and elevate his or her abilities once opportunities are made available. So let's begin our session on literature and medicine. By studying literature and other arts, doctors can develop deeper psychological insights and sensitivities, allowing them to listen to their patients better. In parallel, it encourages physicians to write and share their stories to clinical encounters with one another. So with this discourse, I would like to invite our keynote speaker, Dr. Kavery ma'am, and I would like to share a brief bio note of ma'am. Ma'am is from Kodagu district, Karnataka. She is graduated from St. John's Medical College in Bangalore and did her higher surgical training in UK. After obtaining the fellowship of the Royal College of Surgeons from London, she has been working in India, mainly in the rural sector in Bihar, UP, Tamil Nadu and Karnataka. She is actively involved in the countrywide rural surgical network and served as a governing council member of the Association of Rural Surgeons of India. Ma'am is also a writer who started by writing stories for children before turning to adult fiction. She has written 7 novels and her only non-fiction book, A Luxury Called Health, was published by Speaking Tiger in November 2021. 3 of her novels were even shortlisted for awards: the Crossword Book Award, Sahitya Academy Award, the South Asian Man Booker, and the DSC Prize. She was also a fellow at the LOA International Writers Program in 2007 and was deputed on a visit to Karachi and Lahore in a Fulbright sponsored program in 2015. Ma'am has recently published a non-fiction titled, just Kuwawa ma'am has discussed, Cherry Red, Cherry Black, The Coffee Story, published by Bloomsbury. Dr. Kavery ma'am was married to the poet and writer Sri Vijay Nambisan, and she currently lives and works in Kodaku. So now, without taking much time, I would like to invite Kavery ma'am to address us, please. Ma'am, please.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Firstly, thank you very much for inviting me here. And before I start my talk, I'd just like to make one correction. I am not a professor of English at Reva University. I am a surgeon and a doctor surgeon working in a rural area, but I happen to write. So that was some error that crept into that introduction.
Okay, so sorry.
Now, regarding my twin careers, which are surgery and writing, I'm talking today about the two different fields in which I work, and also about their relation to how their relationship in today's world. When I decided to be a doctor, the reason was, I thought that as a doctor, you get to bandage broken limbs, you dole out medicines, pour out mixtures, you give tablets, and if you are, very skilled and at a senior level, you even start giving injections. So I was 15 when I decided to be a doctor, and 16 when I joined medical college. The next 5 years were the most transformative in my life. As you can imagine, 5 years is a long period in the life of a teenager. Sorry?
Please continue, ma'am. No worry.
Can I continue? Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
So as I went on with my training, I realized that there was a lot of, knowledge to be acquired. There were skills to be learned. There was, and especially to become a surgeon, one had to have a really good understanding of the body structure and function. Surgery, as you know, is considered to be a heroic sort of a thing, very theatrical at times, and it is always a teamwork. You need a team in order to do surgery. But on the other hand, my other career of writing is something that we do in isolation, and it is a way of putting down your thoughts based on your experience, your observation, and using your imagination. So they are so different. But there are also these differences are there, but there are also similarities between the act of writing and doing surgery, or you can say the field of medicine. In medicine, we bring doctors bring life into this world. We ensure the safe delivery of a newborn, and then we try to ensure that the child lives on, and through life we try to address illnesses. We try to heal patients, and also towards the end we do our level best to prevent death from happening. We never succeed in fighting death as such, but we just delay the process. Although we cannot really even predict the exact time when it is going to happen. But these are our limitations as doctors. Between life and death, during the period of that conscious life of the patient, we try to do our best to address the illnesses that affect the body and the mind too. But the most important of all is that it is not just that you are doing this, you're also having to to address this very important thing of suffering and pain, which affects us when we are ill. So suffering and pain is common to all of us at some time in our lives. And a doctor gets this unique opportunity to be able to heal people, to be able to ameliorate the suffering, which I think is a great blessing for the doctor. And we work in a space between the doctor and the patient. We work in a space that is full of fear, anxiety, insecurity, pain and suffering on the side of the patient. And certainly the need to try and help the patient is with the doctor. And also if the doctor is of any value, this has got inbuilt compassion and caring. So that space between doctor and patient is a very important space. And the quality of your doctor is defined by how we travel through this space when we treat patients. See, this is, and as we go on and as we learn more, we learn how to be better doctors, hopefully, we gain more confidence. We learn to judge what to do when with patients, what medicine to give, what not to give, what advice do you give the patient. And definitely a large part of a doctor's work involves advising patients, guiding them on how they could prevent illness, how they can avoid being sick. So this is again a large part of our work. Surgery itself, if you look at it, is a very physical skill based on knowledge. Of course, it is a physical skill of learning certain techniques based on knowledge. Just like there is sewing, or there is plumbing, or there is electrical work, it is a skill. But the difference is that when a surgeon takes a scalpel and begins to work on the patient, and begins to start the surgery, he or she is dealing with life that throbs beneath that scalpel. And this is what, and so there is no scope for any mistakes, any errors. So this particular aspect of a surgeon's work makes it a far more challenging. It becomes challenging. And as a surgeon gains more experience, gains more skill, he or she becomes calmer, gets rid of stress, and is able to perform better. But of course, too much of confidence can lead to overconfidence, and that can also be disastrous for a surgeon. So we have to learn, like in any other profession, we have to learn to strike a balance. So you might say that surgery is a full-time job. It includes work at night, work during the day, a lot of sleepless nights, everything. And in my case, because I chose to work in rural areas, I have had very varied profession, very varied type of experiences, starting from being in Bihar, where we had to work among the really underprivileged people, and also we had to address illnesses caused by crime. So it was a very difficult job, full of a lot of risks. Risks were involved, but I gained a lot of experience by doing risky type of a job in my early years. And I also realized that there was a lot of need in these places where the development, generally the entire development in states like Bihar and Uttar Pradesh are really far behind that in some of our southern states. So that was good experience for me. So surgery being such a hectic job, why then did I choose, to take up something else? I can only call it sort of a madness. But I think initially when I started to write, it was a sort of some sort of a vanity. You want to see if you can do this also. I've always been a reader. I like reading. So I probably thought, why not I try to write as well? Just try my hand at it. So I started to write a little, pieces like for middles for newspapers. And I wrote for women's magazines. Those were the two things I did. And I got printed. And I think that that part was after a little while, I was not satisfied because I could make out that I was sort of, what to call it, forcing myself to write in a certain way just to fit the market. So if I was writing for a women's magazine, I wrote stories which I felt the readers would like to hear. So those were manipulated stories, contrived stories, and a little bit, I would say, I don't know, it was not true, true to my thinking, or so I was not really very pleased with those stories. Then I started writing for children. And it was then that I realized what it was to write and how to develop your own voice, how to find that substance, and how to convey, because children, you cannot fool children. You have to be able to tell them the truth, but how do you tell it? And what interests children? You can't moralize to them. You can't give them morality tales, just put that way. So I learned from, by writing for children, publishing books, I realized how to start. That was my learning. I didn't go through any other learning process for writing. Most of us don't go through any learning process. That was the way. And then I started writing adult fiction after that. So about the, again, going back to this contrast between surgery and literature. In surgery, as I said, we bring children into this world and we are there when the patient dies. We want to try and attend to both. It is this, so the life begins at one door, we enter, and then it leaves at the other, we exit. These doors are strictly one way. They are strictly one way. So, and that period of our consciousness in between them is what we call life. We do not know what is beyond these other two doors. So, in surgery, or in all of medicine, we are dealing with life that is between these two doors. That is, so our work is restricted to that period of that, what we call life. But literature also deals with life and death and the mysteries of this universe. So, but literature is a little more audacious. It wants to find out what is on the other side of the doors. It tries to scratch on the doors, it tries to tap on these doors, and it tries to probe. What I mean is that literature tries to address the spiritual thirst or the spiritual longing that resides in every human being. The person may be literate, be illiterate, maybe from any part of the world, belonging to any religion or not belonging to religion, but spirituality is something utterly, entirely different. It is the thought process that goes on within each of us, which probes beyond life, probes beyond the life as we know, and thinks of the mysteries of this universe. So how exactly does literature do this? We tell stories, we write historic books, non-fiction, we talk about what happened in this world earlier, we talk about scientific possibilities of the future, we write fantasy, things that may not actually happen, but they give parallels to what could happen in this world or have happened. It is always a sort of a searchlight. Literature is like a searchlight that is searching every nook and cranny there is. To be to do any good writing, particularly if your work claims to be literature, one of the most important facts is that your communication should be good. Communication should be good, which means that the word is the only tool available to the writer. There are no other instruments. There is only the word. And the words strung together meaningfully form languages. And we have hundreds and thousands of languages in our country and beyond it, in which people convey thoughts and communicate. So as far as we know, it is human beings have developed this skill, and the way we communicate, the channel through which we communicate, the word, how we use the word, is the most important factor in producing good writing of any type. Those channels must be clear, they must not be clogged, they must not be blocked with falsehood. And here you will say, what you will wonder what I'm talking about. So to give you an example, particularly politicians, when they speak, sometimes certain advertisements, when they declare the good of something that they have produced, sometimes big corporates who want to convey something about their own companies. Sometimes, I'm not saying always. They use obfuscation, they use opaque language, they use cliches, platitudes, they use rhetoric, and by using those, they bend the truth, and or hide it, mask it. So this is what a writer must not do. It is not your job to hide truth, but to expose it and to tell the story clearly. So literature plays a huge role in human existence, like all of art. All of art. It is because literature can go into the minds of people. When you tell a story, or even when you're relating history, particularly, you're going into the minds of the people. After verifying facts, you are going into what happened and why did it happen? How did it happen? And in fiction, the work of fiction is to bring you news. Actually, it brings news, but news with a fresh perspective. Not new perspective, but a fresh perspective. It may be the same thing told in a different way, which will shine a light and show you something different. And literature always, has a certain grace. It is not clumsy. And that is why we say cliches and platitudes are to be avoided at all costs. And why I say that literature is important to human existence is that the word is the one way in which we convey our thoughts to the other. And if these are falsified, it will lead to major disasters. As if you look back in history, you will find that by falsifying words, much has been destroyed. Look at any part of history, go into it, and you will see what I am saying. And art tries to revive that one fact that you have to, whatever happened or did not happen, you have to stick with the facts, you have to stick with the truth. In life, I mean, we as human beings, we have been given one single asset, and that is that is the one of choice. The human mind, or any other living mind, has the choice of what to do. And there is something in us which tells us where the moral compass points. Even when we know this, even when we know what is the right thing to do or the good thing to do and what is not, we still continue. So many times when we know what choice we should make, we still make the wrong choices, thereby causing some harm somewhere. And this sad aspect of all of human nature, where we do make the wrong choices, this leads to tragedies, both personal and public. So literature, over and over and again, all the time, literature points to these things. It does not tell you who is what and flaws here and there. It just paints the picture. It gives you the entire picture of human lives, of different people. It creates, in literature, you have the creation of characters. And you get characters who do things that are evil. There are characters who do things which are good, that are good, but mostly characters like you or me who do both. We at times do good, and at times we do not do what is good. So by looking into different corners of what the human mind is capable of, by seeing what depths we can go to, both in terms of the wickedness that we are capable of, and the heights of goodness or compassion that we are capable of. And then as we do, the more we read, the more we write, we begin to realize that this fundamental difference it becomes a matter of habit. A matter of habit, even for the human spirit. The more good that is done by you or those around you, the more it continues to happen. You know, it's like the scales, where the more of the good comes on one side and the evil will be less. And I do believe that with whatever religion you might believe in or not believe in, I do believe that every human being is wired towards goodness. We are wired. In the universe, the collective consciousness of the universe is a desire to be happy, to be good, to have peace and prosperity for everyone. That is there. I mean, why do we? It is what I mean is beyond. We limit ourselves by sticking only with our family concerns, with each other, with our private concerns, even with our own community, the concerns of only our community or even our own country. Certainly the human mind should reach beyond all these borders. These borders are artificially created. Of course, it is natural and good to love your family, to be proud of your country, but you have to have that same empathy for what lies beyond. Without that, we cannot call ourselves a civilized world. We cannot continue as a civilized world. And that is where I come to today's context, the world as it is today, that more and more we are getting we are making choices which divide us, which separate us from each other. And by separating us from each other, we understand each other less and less. We refuse to understand the other person. And the more we do that, we build up our prejudices. And when people of a certain age build up prejudices, they will filter it down to the younger generation. And here, I strongly feel that writers have definitely a part to play in engaging with these negative factors which encroach upon society, and trying to solve problems through dialogue, through communication, rather than through negativity, prejudice, bias, and which eventually lead to hatred. So a surgeon, while working, should have the empathy. And I do think that a lot of reading and my own act of writing have helped me to be a better doctor. There is no doubt about that, because I have begun to understand human nature better as I read widely. And I read everything. I read from newspapers to every type of literature, every type of book possible. I do. With literature, that there is, some people say that, well, you're a writer, you have no obligation to anybody. But I think we all as human beings have an obligation to society for having, being a part of society. We all are obliged to society. And every one of us should be concerned when negative things multiply. So I would like to end with this now, and I will leave it to Dr. Puama to continue and address it. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. It was indeed a wonderful oration, ma'am, and truly enlightening. And the way you express the clinical aspects, all challenges, hazards of medical profession, your hardships in rural areas, everything, your writing journey, the way you describe literature was truly beautiful. And the roles of an honest writer, and the way you connected literature and you tried to comprehend the humanity, that was really beautiful. Everything was expressed in a wonderful way, ma'am. And now, so in this continuation, I would like to say that if forum is open for the Q&A round, if anyone is having any query, can put forth, please.
Hello, Dr. Kavery. Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. It was a wonderful presentation, and I'm so glad that literature has transpired you into one of the best doctors, best surgeons. That's a wonderful idea that you have projected in this lecture. My question is, how can a doctor best understand the emotions and behavior of his or her patients?
How best? I think by having a genuine interest in your patient, having an interest, not treating them as 1, 2, 3, 4, but having a genuine interest in what happens to that patient, and having that sincerity. And it comes, I think, if you are interested in people as a whole. And I think doing rural work is a great blessing, because we work with communities. We work with smaller, with certain people who keep coming back to us. We have a diverse community. It's a mixed community, and we have all strata of society, from the well-to-do to the poorer, much poorer people. So we have the diversity, yet we have this rustic quality of being friendly with each other, and also being very inquisitive, Everybody wants to know what you're, talk about what you're doing and what you're eating and all this. But I have found that having worked in rural areas from Bihar, even in Bihar, I found it fascinating to get to know the people and like sometimes to visit their homes. And to know them, to see how they live.
Listen to their stories as well. So
yes,
probably.
yes, there is so much. And even like when we treat criminals, when we are treating criminals, when we get gunshot wounds and you operate on them, you talk to the relatives, and the threat is there. The threat is there. But I found that when after a while, when your work speaks for itself, not just the work, but the way you address your patients. Between the two, I learned a lot. I learned a lot from my patients about how in the midst of so much suffering, they are still able to have their normal those acts of humanity, little acts of goodness that come out. You see it among patients in a general ward, for instance, how they help each other. So you see so much when you work in rural areas. And I remember, but the negative side too, I have seen. I remember one 17-year-old who was shot in the neck. And it was a very, very serious accident, and I operated. I gave a very guarded prognosis that, he may or may not make it. And but I was very, very worried because such a young boy. And as I was examining the parents after the operation, I was just checking I had done a tracheostomy and there were a lot of drains and everything. So as I was doing all that, the parents came, his parents, and the mother said, I think all of you understand Hindi. The mother said, "Usko marne dijiye, Dr. Saab." She said, "Let him die," because he was actually a criminal. This boy had joined a criminal gang. So she said, "Marne dijiye, Dr. Saab." That bitter. And I saw in, that thing of, it was so hard. So I told her that is not my job. My job is to make him okay. My job is to heal him, not to do anything. But and anyway, so that was that. But unfortunately, that boy did die. He died about 3 days after the surgery. But that is unusual, of course, when they come early enough, and if the thing damage is not too much, they do survive. We got very good results with our gunshot wound patients. But this was something that I remember. Or another patient who came because he was carrying bombs in both his hands. For use, he was going to throw those bombs, at whoever his enemy is, and they burst in his hand. The bombs burst and he lost both his hands, and he came with blood pumping. He was brought blood pumping, and he was also a drug addict, this man. He was a criminal and a drug addict. So he would not go under anesthesia. Like, it was difficult to anesthetize him because his body was used to drugs. It was very, very hard because he kept getting up and we had to put him down. Finally, we managed to put him to sleep and do the whole thing. And by the time he woke up, the police were in the wards, and they stayed until 10 days or whatever later. Everything was better and they took him to prison. But you deal with such patients. At the same time, you deal with, for instance, a pregnant woman who got shot on, crossfire, a battle she and her 9-year-old son. So so you see all types of human dilemma, and you have to address them. So they make you, I don't know what to say, that you feel, gosh, how lucky we have been. And to just bring in my husband's work, he was also a writer, a very fine writer. He wrote a book about our experience in Bihar. Because while I was a doctor, he was a journalist, and he used to meet different type of people, and he mixed with everybody, as you well know. So he wrote a remarkable book, which is even now, gets very high praise. But he was talking about what it is like. And what he has said in that book is that what happens today in Bihar can happen in rest of India in the future. In the future. So much of it, some of it was proved right, because all this thing of gun battles and, crime has increased, everywhere.
So it looks as though, like, the patients are the real books for you all, like for doctors. They are they are a flesh and blood literature, so that, I mean, you will be able to read them and then touch on their emotions and try to help them out, or bring about a change in them. So I think that is a wonderful experience, probably, that has given you a lot of impetus to write. Yes, very good experience. Yeah. Thank you, Doctor.
Any other question? Thank you, ma'am. Any other question? No one? Okay. All right. So thank you once again, ma'am, for your deep, knowledgeable discourse. And now, in continuation of the array, I would like to invite our chairperson, Dr. Shamulima Saika, Assistant Professor, Garagaon College, Shiva Sagar, Assam. Ma'am is working as an assistant professor in Department of English, Garagaon College, Shiva Sagar, and she received her doctorate degree from Dibrugarh University, Assam. She has to her credit several research publications and journals and edited books. Moreover, she has presented papers in various national and international seminars. Besides editing an anthology titled Poetry Unites, an anthology of verse in several other books, she has also published a book of poems titled Palimpsests. She is the convener of iSPELL Assam Forum. And I request ma'am to address, please.
A very good evening to everyone. I take this opportunity to extend my heartfelt thanks to iSPELL India and to Dr. A.S. Puvamma for inviting me to chair this wonderful session. It was indeed an honor to listen to Dr. Kavery Nambisan. Today's theme, literature and medicine and the relationship in today's context, is, I think, a highly significant topic. And an increasing mechanization of life today has affected all areas, including the medical scenario also. And we know that the relation between a patient and a doctor is one of empathy and trust, and which requires a very patient hearing and lending of moral support on the part of the physician. On the other hand, the patient feels the urge to place his confidence and trust on someone who believes has got all the solutions to his ailments, to his problems. And every patient has a story that throws light on how the individual got ill, the point at which they felt they needed medical help, and very significantly, the social challenges they face in getting cured. And these stories can help the physician from just merely treating the disease to something like helping the patient. And knowing or learning how to make patients share and then listen to these stories can bring about crucial change in healthcare. Because medical practice can be fruitful only when medical care incorporates the skill of empathy, listening, and interpreting, and then acting on the stories and plights of patients. Our speaker today, Dr. Nambisan, has discussed in a very brilliant deliberation this theme of the relation between literature and medicine. And so she has spoken of the similarity between the act of surgery and the act of writing, and how the space between a doctor and a patient is a very important space. And surgery is something very physical and based on knowledge, and it is a challenging work considering it needs the saving of a life. And it was wonderful listening to her myriad experiences as a surgeon in remote areas full of risk, And she also moved on to discuss various aspects of literature and how literature deals with life and death and the mysteries of life and other issues, and how art essentially has to stick to the truth. And the role of writer to solve problems through dialogue and not through negativity, bias, etc. So these are indeed very significant matters which writers should focus on. And it was really heartening to hear from her that it was her passion for writing which helped her to become a better surgeon. So with this note, I would like to make a reference to the deep relationship between literature and medicine. So doctors can turn to literature in terms of plot and forms to understand what occurs in their patients' lives, and they can increase their own narrative competence, and they can interpret the text of medicine to develop empathy and to deepen their capacities for reflection and self-knowledge. And together, these skills, attitudes, and bodies of knowledge can contribute to the effective practice of medicine. In fact, nowadays, literature is taught in many medical schools abroad. And there is also a concept called narrative medicine, which has emerged lately. And in fact, there are many objectives which can be fulfilled by including the study of literature in medical education. For instance, literary accounts of illness can teach physicians concrete and powerful lessons about the lives of sick people. Moreover, great works of fiction about medicine enable physicians to recognize the power and implications of what they do. Further, through the study of narrative, the physician can better understand patients' stories of sickness and his or her own personal stakes in medical practice. And last of all, literary study contributes to physicians' expertise in narrative ethics. So once again, it was wonderful listening to Dr. Kavery Nambisan, who enlightened us on her varied experiences as a physician and her role as a writer and surgeon. In fact, it would be lovely to read her books and know more of her experiences. So with this note, I conclude my speech. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for enlightening us. And your words really added the value to the session. And the way you analyzed was truly thought-provoking. So I would like to sum up with the lines of Dale Carnegie. Learning is an active process. We learn by doing, and only knowledge that is used sticks in your mind. So we are truly grateful to our esteemed guests once again, and who spared their valuable time for us and made the session wonderful. And I thank all our members of the forum for participating and wish everyone a very happy, prosperous, and safe Diwali. And I thank respected Puvama ma'am and all others for providing me the opportunity of MOC. And now I invite Professor Ghansham sir, Forum Secretary, to present the certificates, please, and concluding remark. Certificates would be displayed.
Dr. Vipula, I think Professor Ghansham is not there. So
Okay,
Puvama ma'am can do it.
Yes, ma'am. Puvama ma'am, please go ahead.
Yeah, 1 minute.
Yeah, are the slides visible?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah,
it's visible. Yeah. The certificate goes to Dr. Kavery Nambisan. Thank you so much, ma'am, for such a beautiful, wonderful presentation. Please accept our certificate. It's our honor to present the certificate to you because such a wonderful novelist has come to our platform. So this is our great gratitude to you in the form of a certificate from iSPELL. Please accept it, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
sorry.
Yes, ma'am. Continue.
Yeah, this certificate goes to Dr. Shamalima Sakia, a chairperson of today's 111th Sunday Sahitik Satsang. I thank her for accepting our invitation and for rounding off this session in such a beautiful way. Please accept this certificate, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Dr. Puvamma and everyone.
Thank you. And this certificate goes to the Master of Ceremony for beautifully coordinating the event, taking it through, like how the ship sails through. Dr. Vipul Mathur, the Master of Ceremony, please accept the certificate.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yes, this is about next event of our month, the last one of this month. So here we end the session, and Kavery ma'am, thanks a lot. This was a wonderful session. And Puvamma ma'am, well organized by you. I must appreciate, and I say that you are the true inspiration. We all need to learn a lot from you, how you are carrying yourself and managing these events this month. I sincerely say that I really need to learn a lot from you. And Shamulima ma'am has summed up it so well. And Vipula, friend, always you are a rock star. So I say thank you to each and everybody who is present over here, attended, and graced the occasion. So shall we end it now?
No, there's vote of thanks, no?
Vote
The
of
event
thanks.
coordinators, yeah. Dr. Shalini, you're a very active and live wire in the iSPELL platform. So we really thank you. And you've now replaced our IT coordinator, Dr.
Just for 2 weeks. Actually, he also needs holidays sometimes.
Yes, so thank you for doing that. You know, it's
Yes.
a timely help. So thank you so much. So let me extend a word of thanks. Shall I?
Yeah, sure, ma'am. Continue.
Yeah. So let me first thank from the bottom of my heart the prime pillars of iSPELL and all the iSPELL regional forum leaders and members for their perennial contribution to keep the iSPELL platform ever burning bright on every Sunday. My sincere gratitude to each one of them. Our today's keynote speaker, Dr. Kavery Nambisan, an interesting writer who writes on women's issues and also on general subject of interest. Dr. Kavery Nambisan's work, actually, her novels have been taken up by research scholars as comparative studies, and our Dr. K.G. Veena, an iSPELLian, she had taken up some of her novels and reviewed it as a comparative study with Margaret Atwood for her MPhil thesis and under my guidance. We've read the works of Dr. Kavery Nambisan. I would like to mention that the iSPELL audience would go in for Amazon.in so that they get all the books and read the novels and works written by Dr. Kavery Nambisan. So today's discourse on medicine and literature is actually an eye-opener, and literature is like the sunlight, and medicine comes to light only if there is sunlight. Hence its significance, and that is revealed through the presentation of Dr. Kavery Nambisan. I thank Dr. Kavery Nambisan on behalf of iSPELL for her wonderful presentation on the relationship between medicine and literature. Thank you, ma'am. It was a great presentation. And also, I wish to thank our IT coordinator, Mr. Pramod Dengle, sir, and Dr. Shalini, ma'am, for coordinating the event today without not much of a technical hitch. So I thank Dr. Shalini too. And I thank Pramod Dengle, sir. And I thank the Master of Ceremony, Dr. Vipul Mathur, and for beautifully
Thank you, ma'am.
carrying it through all the way. And our chairperson, Dr. Shamalima Sakia, for rounding off the event so successfully. I thank all the participants and all the promoters of iSPELL for your altruistic contribution in enriching the literary audience. So thank you, one and all present here. It's really very wonderful, and we're all so proud and privileged to be part of the iSPELL platform. So thank you, each one of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we close?
Yes.
Yes.
Shall we close it, Poema ma'am, now?
Yeah, now I think we can close the session.
Okay. Wish you all a very happy Diwali.
Yeah, thank you.
Same to you. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.